The Eagles made a slightly surprising move in bringing back 36-year-old running back Darren Sproles last Friday. After missing 23 games in the last 2 years, Sproles is back for one last rodeo to finish his career as a Philadelphia Eagle, a team he has been with since 2014, and of course this means he'll push for yet another Super Bowl ring. The Birds already had a crowded backfield before the arrival of Sproles, but how does his return change the complexion of the position with training camp just a few days away? Sproles may be one of the best dual threat backs in league history, if not the best. In 2017, he still found a way to total 73 yards on 10 receptions before his injury, building on the 427 yards and 2 scores he caught in the year prior. 2018 season was spent mostly on IR due to a hamstring injury, and as a result, it's safe to assume that Sproles won't be carrying the rock more than Sanders or Howard in a traditional scenario. But as a change of pace back, wildcard returner, stern pass protector, and release valve in the passing game, Sproles does bring incremental value, and it's that very value that could force some of the other running backs on the roster out in the cold. My name is Liam Jenkins, and today we're taking a look at every other running back on this Eagles roster, seeing how their stock has been impacted by the return of Darren Sproles. But before we get underway, if you enjoy this video, if you like what we do here at Philly Sports Network, make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and drop your opinions in the comments down below. We need your help to build the biggest base of Philadelphia sports fans possible, and of course you can get daily content from myself and all of our writers at phillysportsnetwork.com. Let's kick things off with West Virginia's Wendell Smallwood. Drafted by the Eagles in 2016, Smallwood is one of the more polarizing backs on the roster who draws mixed opinions from fans everywhere. In fairness, he has developed his game on a year-on-year basis, really focusing on lowering his pad level in 2017 and setting career highs in receptions 1 year later. Smallwood tallied 151 yards during a crucial 4-game stretch for the Birds last year, notching a run of at least 10 yards in 3 of them. What's even more impressive though is that in short yardage situations, Smallwood somehow found a way to shine, converting on 71.4% of those situations, and achieving 5 first downs on 7 attempts, an area where Josh Adams, a downhill monster who one would assume would thrive in these situations, fared significantly worse, converting 0 out of 10. The truth is, while Wendell Smallwood isn't glamorous or flashy, nasty or electric, he has a level of development and bizarre trust from the coaching staff that keeps him in the fold. In what could well be a battle for RB4, Smallwood will yet again have the choice of spoils, but it's entirely down to him whether or not he proves enough to win that role, something kinda handed to him by default in years past. Last year, the position was ripped apart by injuries and Smallwood still found a way to fumble the ball. This has to be a step-up season for Smallwood, and he knows it. There's a heavy amount of pressure on the young running back, especially considering his contract situation, but will this be enough to push and sneak onto the back end of that roster? Only time will tell, but he may be among the more favourable just because he has the trust of that coaching staff, something no one else can impact but Wendell himself. Moving on to Corey Clement, another running back that generates a lot of discussion. After exploding onto the scene as an undrafted rookie free agent 2 seasons ago, Clement struggled in 2018. He ended the season on IR, but injuries may have been hampering him long before that Week 14 closure. Clement just seemed lost in the rotation, playing second fiddle to Smallwood and clearly losing a step for whatever reason. He did, however, flash that same explosiveness he once did as a rookie, with strong games against the Colts, which saw his heaviest workload of the season, where he averaged 3.6 yards per carry on 16 attempts, and the Giants, but they were exactly that. Flashes. Through the inconsistency, the Eagles leaned on Josh Adams just as Clement was finding his groove, and upon the return of Darren Sproles, his role was marginalised, but there remains one gleaming positive to Clement's game, and that is that he may have the best hands in the entire running back room. He registered a total of 0 drops last year to go along with a catch rate of 88%, averaging 8.7 yards per reception. Even with Darren Sproles in the backfield, he won't be around forever and has hardly been durable in his last 2 years, missing 23 games. Nobody has really proven themselves as a pass catcher at the NFL level in this backfield, as much as Clement has, and as far as security goes, niches matter at this position, and Clement's niche as a valuable running back who can execute as a receiving option may just be the most valuable here, making him a frontrunner for that running back 4 position in spite of the return of Darren Sproles. On to Josh Adams, who was signed as an undrafted free agent out of Notre Dame last year. Adams would eventually push himself into a starting role where he made 5 starts late in the season, totaling 333 rushing yards and a trio of touchdowns in that span. As injuries continued to rip their way through the backfield, Adams went from being an afterthought to a key piece in the resurgence of a rushing attack when it mattered most. He proved himself as a downhill runner after being named an undrafted free agent steal following his breakout at Notre Dame, ending his rookie year with 511 total yards, the most on the team. But unbeknownst to many, he also underwent surgery on a torn labrum following the team's playoff loss to New Orleans, something reported on by Mike Kay, but flew massively under the radar. The running style of Adams is reminiscent of Jordan Howard, and it would certainly make sense to keep him around as a backup to the former Chicago Bear, who can emulate his style. But if the team find more value in Clement and Smallwood, risking him on waivers may only see him snapped up by another team. A lot rides on his rehab from that surgery and just how hard he can run in preseason. If Adams can really attack and build on the foundations laid as a rookie, every chance he asserts himself in that conversation, but as of right now, he's on the outside looking in. Next up is Boston Scott, and the Louisiana Tech product was one of the spring's big standouts and saw plenty of time as a punt returner. The problem is, even Doug Peterson compared him to Darren Sproles. At 5'6", 203 pounds, he averaged 4.3 yards per carry last preseason on 25 attempts with the Saints, but if it's a baby Sproles that the team want, they now have the original in their backfield again. If Scott can provide a special team spark as he did against the Texans in week 14, then that will surely only bode well. If you partner that with his very unique skill set that would almost mirror what the team currently has in Sproles, it is hard to imagine them risking losing him to another team on waivers, but that's implying he storms training camp in preseason. Anything less than a stunning effort this summer will not be enough to see him climb the mountain, as heartbreaking as that may be. He's a player that I am personally rooting for. I love what he brings to the table and think he really is a baby version of Darren Sproles, but it's a long way to the top if you want to be like Sproles, if you pardon the very bad AC/DC pun. And finally, there's Donnell Pumphrey. Pumphrey may be one of the most underwhelming picks in recent memory. The San Diego State product was promised to be built like another Darren Sproles, but ran for just 49 yards on 26 carries during the Eagles preseason as a rookie. After being stashed on IR, he spent some time with the Lions practice squad and now returns for another shot at proving he can cut it at the NFL level. He just looked out of place in preseason though, being thrown around violently and unable to humiliate defenders as he could in college. Maybe there's life yet, but he's already looking up to Boston Scott and is doing so from quite a long way back. But that is it for the Eagles running back outlook, guys. Who do you think makes the final roster? Drop your Eagles running back depth charts down below. I want to see who are the surprises, who are the cuts, and who are the 4 or 5 guys who will be carrying the rock deep into the regular season. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Liam Jenkins PSN, or Philly Sports Network is at Philadelphia SN. I'll see you next time. Training camp is almost upon us. Let's get hyped.